Star Wars Skeleton Crew.
That is one big pile.
Nah, I'm just kidding. It's actually pretty good. Welcome to episode number 1 of my new review series, simply titled Hot Garbage. Why is it called Hot Garbage, you may ask? It's because negativity sells. So yeah, that's why it's called Hot Garbage. And today we are going to talk about the recently finished / concluded Star Wars Skeleton Crew. Skelly Crew? Skelly Welly Squad? Skull Emoji Alliance? Whatever you want to call it. You know, the show with practically zero marketing, Jude Law as some Jedi guy, and oh my god, suburbs in space! This is not like Star Wars! Either way, all this stuff, I don't know, I just really wanted to check out the show for some particular reason. And when I checked out the show and finished watching it, my overall thoughts are... it's pretty good. Not the best thing I've ever watched, but surprisingly it was better than the trailers promised it to be. Trailers promised it just to be another generic kids go on some adventure thing. And to be honest, it is kind of like that for a lot of it, but when the show has its highs, it really does have its highs. I forgot to mention this earlier in the video, but there will be spoilers for the entirety of Skeleton Crew. So now is your time to turn it off if you don't want to be spoiled or anything like that. Anyways, let's go on to this review in no particular order. I'm going to randomly ping-pong between good and bad points, so let's go. Starting off with probably one of my favourite things about the show is actually the main planet our characters are trying to get back to throughout the majority of the show, and that's Atatin. I really, really like Atatin. You know, the suburban planet that everyone thought was just another lazy planet done by Disney. Well, I think it's actually quite unique as... well, during the first couple of episodes until, like, later on, you're built to believe that Atatin is sort of like a dystopia controlling everything else. Like, there's safety droids everywhere, all the cars have to go on certain railings, and everyone has to contribute to some mysterious great work. I mean, in episode 8 it gets revealed it's literally just some safe haven for some Old Republic people. But I thought it was just really fun to speculate, and I think that's what the good stuff leaves you with. So yeah, that was my thoughts on Atatin. Also, Atatin really reminds me of Tanalorr from Jedi Survivor, especially in that one shot from episode 7. Real good stuff right there. Now let's talk about our main 6 characters. Let's start off with the kids, of course. I thought 3 out of 4 of the kids were just okay. Actually, correction, 2 out of 4. I didn't like Neil. Sorry, Neil fans. There was just nothing to like about Neil. I don't know. He just felt really bland. He felt like filler. Wim was just okay. Fern was just really annoying at the beginning of the series, but sort of got a lot better as the series went on. I mean, it's doing its job with character development and stuff, but this one, still, even with all the character development, Fern just didn't really stick out to me. But KB, though, out of the 4 main kids, she is easily the best one. You find out all this mystery of her visor and stuff, and how she's a bit different from the others. She's sort of like the one who's trying to pay attention to Jude Law's sus activities, trying to make sure that all the kids are safe, and yeah, I just thought that she was just the best. She felt like the most fleshed out of them all, really. She was pretty good. But even then, I don't even think she was as good as the other 2. Starting off with Jude Law's character of Jod, he was really boring up until episode 6, 5 to 6-ish. Around then he turns into a flipping menacing villain. In episode 7, where he straight up manages to board a ship and decapitates SM-33, man, that left an impact, and he feels really threatening towards the end of the series. Really good job. Like, I actually genuinely rooted for the kids to win. Good job, but I don't think any of these could match towards Nick Frost's voice performance as SM-33. SM-33 was easily my favourite character in this entire show. He felt like such a comfortable guardian, oddly enough rooting with the kids just because they're the captain. And yeah, he just felt like the most likeable droid ever. Like, when Jude Law was coming to stop the kids in episode 7, he was like, I've got this, and even though he fails, he felt like a real guardian to the kids, and that felt really great. And Nick Frost really performs a scurvy pirate guardian super well. And I really want to see SM33 in more Star Wars media. One of my biggest problems with the show is how it handles its setup and payoffs. Well, I actually think the setup and payoffs is fine. There are two in example that I'd like to talk about. There is one setup where there is like this whole demolition button that the characters must not press, that they do have to press in episode 6 to escape. And there's another one where KB was chatting to the bird, and the bird was like, hey, contact me if you need New Republic people. And these are pretty decent setups, and in the actual show itself, they have pretty decent payoffs. My problem with it, though, is that we just had to have a recap. At these recaps, right before each episode starts, they like to show the setup from the previous episodes, and it sort of just it just punishes me for paying attention, because it's like, oh, you didn't pay attention. Well, here you go. This is what happened in this episode. You'll be very core to this episode. It felt just punishing actually trying to pay attention. It just felt rewarding just to not pay attention to stuff. Like, I really don't like recaps, and it just feels wrong if you just remind people of something. It just felt lazy, in my opinion. There is only one more point I want to make about the show before I conclude the review on it, and that is a really glaring issue of the show I have. In fact, it's an entire episode that's an issue. I despise episode 4 Skeleton Crew. It is just nothing but filler until the last 5 minutes. Algan lands on some planet that is at him but war-torn, and they get split up, and then it's just pointless, blah blah blah, there's some war we need to fight, blah blah blah, and then nothing happens. It turns out they didn't need to fight because they reunite with Jude Law, and then they climb up the tower. And even then, the tower they go to turns out, oops, the coordinates to Atatin that we need to get to aren't there. But SM33 remembers it, which I'll be honest is probably the best part of the episode. And then SM33 tries to kill them, and then Neil faints, and then it ends with the iconic line, the very robotic, he fainted line. I really don't like this episode. It feels like if you take out the entirety of episode 4, except for like the last 5 minutes, literally nothing would be lost. It just felt pointless. It just felt like, oh shit, we need 8 episodes, we've only made 7. Quick, throw this one in. And yeah, that's my thoughts on episode 4. Overall, I thought Skeleton Crew was just an inoffensive, tolerable, fine Star Wars show that is just perfectly fine and there's nothing really wrong with it. I'd give it a solid 7 out of 10. And as long as you're not watching episode 4, I think it is quite a fun experience. And yeah, that is my conclusions for the videos. I'm going to be making this into a series, this hot garbage series. Feel free to comment down in the comments below what media I should review next and do a review on. Alright, see ya.